Testing audio test. Hey, it's me, GX, and we're about to start in about 10 seconds, closer to 5. But yeah, I'm assuming audio is good. I'm seeing audio on my end. I'm seeing audio elsewhere. Let's do a music show. Hey, people, let's do a music show. Let's go. And welcome all to another fantastic episode of Sega Sonic Radio. I'm your host as always, GX, aka Chris, aka the Spin Dash, and we got some great stuff coming up for you. It's a pinball-centric episode. We got some pinball-centric hits coming at you. Although the first thing coming at you is a trip to the Spinbox. Spinbox is especially full tonight. So I apologize if I'm a little bit more quick with the responses, although that also means, hey, quicker to the music. But, we got a lot of things going on, and I want to make sure we get it all covered, including our first question coming in from Keanu the Hedgehog, asking if Sonic and friends ever got extremely lucky at winning the casino and got a gazillion rings each. Which items would they be spending their money on, and why? Sonic's just gonna buy chili dogs. Like, it's goes straight into his stomach. Like, I've seen Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. It wouldn't surprise me if that was some sort of plot where he got a bunch of money and then spent it all on food. Yeah. Tails, I mean, tech can't be cheap. That said, like, the problem is, it kind of doesn't matter, if only because, number one, Sega's real weird about rings being money or not, so it might be worth some upgrades depending on circumstance, and otherwise, I don't know, maybe like. The problem is, like, having all those rings probably isn't as valuable as having red rings. Premium currency, according to most free-to-play Sonic games these days. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. We have one more quick spin box. One of them's from Sonic Trainer. Favorite pinball-themed zone in the Sonic series? I'm real basic here. I like Casino Night. Between the music, the fact that it introduced sort of the casino mechanics to the pinball mechanics, so many mechanics, and that, like, hey, it's not really focused on killing you, per se. There are a handful of hazards, but it's not really about the hazards. It's about just sort of playing around with the mechanics themselves. I think it's, it's neat, it's different, it's interesting, and it felt more directed and like there was a lot more intent than probably the closest earlier analog, which would have been, we'll say, Spring Yard Zone. Spring Yard Zone cool idea. Needed a little bit of cleanup. Just in a handful of spots. That said, we have some requests coming at you. Some from Keanu the Hedgehog, some from Sonic Trainer, and one from Mio. So enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hey, welcome back. That was Bingo Party. For once, that wasn't on me. My mute button stopped functioning. So, I was furiously jamming on it, being like, okay, unmute, please. Unmute. I'd like you to unmute, and it was not unmuting. Not my fault this time. It was the Stream Deck, because that seems to be a recurring issue. Yeah, that was Bingo Party, as requested by Keanu the Hedgehog and Sonic Trader, followed up by Wario Stadium from the Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8, that's the one. Also known as Waluigi Pinball in the deluxe version. Wrapping it up with Neon Palace Act 2 from Sonic Rivals 2, as requested by Neo. Again, jam-packed with mail this week. Epically Epic Guy asks, what do you think about Sonic Spinball? I rather like Sonic Spinball. I think Sonic Spinball is a fun game. I think 3 of the stages in Sonic Spinball are good, and then you get to the showdown, and it's way too long, and it's way too demanding in its precision, and it just, the experience falls off a cliff. But getting there, first 3 stages, pretty solid. I enjoy it. I rather like Sonic Spinball. Now, part of that is, hey, I grew up with it. It was one of my childhood games, and I played a lot of it, and I couldn't necessarily get to the end. I know the machine was a particularly difficult stage, because it has so many little alcoves that it wants you to find stuff through, and that could have been streamlined a little bit, but honestly, I like it. I like it quite a bit. And I hope everyone else likes Epically Epic Guy's request, as well as one from Ratchet over on the Discord. Let's head over to Sonic Spinball itself. Hey, that was... Okay, this is getting quite frustrating. Okay, it seems like, yeah, I know, guys. Stream Deck's having a night tonight. I have my mute button on Stream Deck, and, every so often it forgets to load my microphone. And even if it loads it for one button, it may not necessarily load it for all of the buttons. So, I just needed to remind it, like, hey, this button is attached to this microphone. Thankfully, like, none of this is at least my fault tonight. It's all... I blame it on Elgato. It's their fault for forgetting my microphone exists. Hey! That was Toxic Caves from Sonic Spinball, as requested by Epically Epic Guy, followed up by Neon Arena from Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, wrapping it up with SOS Backup from Sonic Frontiers, as requested by Ratchet. Jumping right into a quiz. Just keeping tonight's show on the move. Quizzone, as always, is a little bit of Sonic trivia to test your Sonic knowledge. As always, you can guess if you want in chat. If you don't want to guess in chat, you don't have to. You can hide chat, as we have done on screen, and we'll bring chat back and let you know the answer after a song. But your quiz question is... not responding. Why, OBS? Why? What is happening? Oh no. I hope... I don't know if I'm still live. There, okay, hold on. I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. I'm gonna hide the quiz board and... okay, cool. We're back to the beginning here. Okay, cool. Good. This isn't a complete, F-up. Okay. Let's keep going. Question is, Sonic Heroes features cannons throughout the game, but which team formation is the only one that lets you aim the cannon? So always guess in chat if you want. If you don't want to guess in chat, you don't have to, as we listen to some Casino Park. was Casino Park from Sonic Heroes. Once again, the question is, Sonic Heroes features cannons throughout the game, but which team formation is the only one that lets you aim the cannon? And as chat got immediately, it is indeed the Power Formation. Power Formation lets you aim and fire the 3 characters separately. One of the few times where it's like, hey, if you need to split them up, that is a way to do it. It is a way to do it. Speed Formation automatically shoots you in sort of a forward direction, wherever the game kind of says, hey, you're generally supposed to go. And then Flight is like, hey, do you want an upward high direction? Yeah, it's more automated for those other two, but Power Formation, you can kind of, it's interesting. You can kind of aim 2 of the characters into directions that would otherwise kill them, but as long as you don't aim the 3rd character, Knuckles, in the Power Formation, Knuckles or, you know, Omega or whoever, in a direction that won't kill, like, will kill them, then you're usually okay. You're usually okay. It's useful for collecting, like, certain items whenever there's multiple surrounding the cannon or so. So that's it for the Quizone, but we got another Spinbox question. Knuckles87, news writer for the site, asks, why do you think that the Sonic world has so many giant pinball machines, including ones not built by Eggman like Casinopolis? What was the phrase Oshima used in regard to Sonic Superstars? Iconic ball action? I would say that the nature of the world of Sonic, a world that is full of animals and things that roll into balls, I think it's just kind of the natural order of things that it eventually condenses down into pinball. It's like how multiple creatures evolved into crabs over the history of our planet. I know there's a specific term for that, carcination, something like that. I might be missing a syllable in the middle there. But because everything evolved to become a ball, well, then we built culture around things being in balls. Therefore, hey, what if everything was pinball? Just have things be pinball. You need to do a gambling thing, do a pinball. Everything's a pinball. It's evolution of culture. Knuckles has a request coming in, as does Alex over on the Discord. So let's head over to some Sonic Adventure. Hey, welcome back. That was Blue Star from Sonic Adventure, as requested by Knuckles87, followed up by Fortune Knight 2 from Freedom Planet, and Circus Caravan from Sonic Lost World. Freedom Planet is a game that I'm currently making my way through over on our Twitch. Taking a Wednesday off so we can do a podcast next week, probably, but in about 2 weeks I'll be heading back into it and hopefully wrapping it up. We'll see. It's a much longer game than I initially thought it was going to be. But I'll be getting the VODs up of the previous 2 episodes up on our YouTube. It's coming soon. Don't want to give a date quite on that yet, but something to keep an eye out. Otherwise, I think it's time for another Spinbox coming in. Sliver was here, asks, what's the most obscure piece of Sonic trivia you know? The biggest issue is I save a lot of the most obscure stuff for the quiz questions. But this one was either previously used or I decided not to use it anymore. So I'll share this one. It's one of my favorites, and part of the reason why is it might not actually be applicable anymore. I think maybe. But I don't know. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. It's the fact that there is only one animated Sonic series that has not been represented in a Sega video game. And that one is the OVA. And you might be thinking, wait, but GX, what about Sonic Underground? To which I would say, okay, let's break it down. Sonic Spinball contains characters from Sonic Sat-Am. / Archie series / whatever you want to consider it. They appear in the in sort of the bonus stages, captured by whatever. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog very prominently appears in Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Sonic X appears as a sign in Sonic Adventure DX. It also has, you know, if I'm getting really obscure and like super kind of things, like it's the leap pad game or something is a Sonic X game. Sonic Boom obviously had its own games to go with its whole transmedia thing. Sonic Prime has inclusions in various games, including the upcoming Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. And Sonic Underground, aside from like a little Tiger Electronic game, actually appeared in the Wii version of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, but not intentionally. There was placeholder graphics of Sonia on some of the playing card designs in the casino stages. The reason being, she was in place of Amy, which was going to be the final designs, but was mistakenly left in. In the other versions of the game, it was replaced. The placeholder stuff was removed and replaced with Amy. But in the Wii version, it was not. It remained Sonia. So that is one of the only representations of Sonic Underground in one of the video games. Plus, you know, so the movie stuff has appeared in, you know, Sonic X Shadow Generations, the mobile games, etc., 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 if you want to count that as well. So that's at least one of the more obscure pieces of trivia that I know, is not only does it mean that it's one of the more it makes the OVA the only unrepresented piece of media, but also you know, Sonia appears in the Wii version. That said, I guess it depends on what you consider Knuckles' hat, because Knuckles' hat is kind of part of that OVA, so I don't know if you would say, well, the OVA is now represented because Knuckles wears that hat in a bunch of things. I don't know. What was the Catgirl princess from the OVA? That was Sarah in the English. Yeah, I don't know. I love the OVA. I love the OVA quite a lot, but it's a trip. And honestly, that's probably why I love the OVA as much as I do, is because it is a trip. But let's take a trip over to Sliver Wazir's request, as well as a request from HasboMe, starting with Sonic 3D Blast. Enjoy! See you in a bit.
Stand there inside the grass figures. You're always standing there, getting under. turn my spin again and again and again. You got something in mind there. Think it's called a life worth living. And we say it's always better to be taken than given. That's the saying, right? Faster. Fast, but you know you gotta go faster.
Hey, welcome back. That was Rusty Ruin Act 2 from Sonic 3D Blast Saturn version as requested by Sliver Was Here, followed up by Gotta Go Faster from the OC Remix album Sonic CD Temporal Duality, wrapping it up with Trap Tower from Sonic Mania. So yeah, a couple questions coming in from chat, just asking about, hey, what was the song from? What was that song? And you can find it and so many other great remixes over at ocremix.org. Once again, that one was called Gotta Go Faster. It's on OC Remix's full Sonic CD themed album, Sonic CD Temporal Duality, and this was a remix by Tubers McGee. So you can go check it out, and so many other great remixes over there. We've got our next quiz coming up, and it is, of course, the audio cue. The audio cue asks you to identify a Sega song based on the song, or a Sega game based on the song. I give you a song, you tell me what game it's from, and one coming up, you know, it felt it necessary to give you a hint on this one. This is a Sega franchise game. It's also, you know, kind of a Sega-developed game, kinda. But most significantly, it was published by THQ, and it is a Game Boy Advance game. We might pick up on that based on the instrumentation here, but let me know what that song is. You're always welcome to guess in chat. If you don't want to guess in chat, you don't have to guess in chat. It's always an option. Take a listen, and we'll let you know the answer after it's done. Like I picked another stumper this time. Again, the question is, what Sega franchise is this song from? It's a GBA game published by THQ, as most GBA games were at that time. This was the Pinball of the Dead, which was a House of the Dead themed pinball game made by WoW Entertainment, which I believe got folded into another Sega studio at some point. This is specifically Wondering, what I believe the first major table of the game. But yeah, yeah, hey, they do a lot of weird stuff with House of the Dead, and one of those weird things was make a pinball game for the GBA, which was kind of the style of the time. You figure there were a lot of strange conversions to pinball from game to pinball game around that era. There was a Pac-Man pinball game on GBA. There was the generally maligned Mario Pinball Land. There was, of course, Sonic Pinball Party. There was the Metroid Prime Pinball, which came on the DS generation later. Just a bunch of weird pinball games in the time. Kind of don't get the same. A lot of pinball is handled by a small select group of companies that are making things that are slightly erring more towards sim, but not fully sim. Like, still a lot of fun novelty tables, but certainly not in the style of what was being made at the time. But we're gonna keep this going with some requests. We've got a request coming up from Young Sonic Fan, as well as one from Pocket Ellery. But first, let's go ahead and tackle Young Sonic Fan's question. In Sonic Frontiers in Chaos Island, there is an ancient pinball machine. Do you think the ancient people played pinball back then? Absolutely. They absolutely did. Everyone in the Sonic world plays pinball. Pinball is vital. When everyone can roll into a ball for some reason, everything is interpreted through the lens of pinball. They definitely pay. I don't know if they went into the table, but they definitely played pinball in some way, shape, or form. But before we get to those requests, here's one more Pinball of the Dead track. Here's Magician, as well as 2 requests. See you guys on the other side. back. That was Magician from the Pinball of the Dead, followed up by Message from Nightopia from Nights into Dreams, as requested by Young Sonic Fan. A song that would also be identifiable as the pinball theme in Sonic Adventure's Nights into Dreams pinball machine. Wrapping it up with We Are Burning Rangers, a chiptune cover of the Saturn song from Sonic Pinball Party. We're just gonna keep moving. We're just gonna keep moving, because only so much time tonight. We got another set of questions, one of them from the Karma Collector 1994. If someone were to create a real-life Sonic the Hedgehog pinball table that you could play, what would you like to see them include, i.e. score, goals, gimmicks, etc.? So funny enough, we did report several years ago on an actual Sonic Spinball table that someone was building. We haven't followed up in like a long time, so we don't exactly know where it's at as a project, but it was neat while it was under development. I would say if you're building an actual Sonic pinball table, number one thing above all else is the sound design for it. You really want something that's going to blare those 16-bit sound effects at you. Just different iconic Sonic sounds. You want to hear those frequently from a pinball machine. Whether it's like the ring sound or the bumper sound or the sound of like weapons charging up and firing or bouncing against badniks, or just those iconic sounds, I think would be really important for a pinball table. That said, for me personally, like I want some weird stuff that's kind of iconic to me personally, like the Sonic Spinball special stage with Robotnik's teeth that you strike with the ball. I love that. I think it's hilarious and weird, and I think it's great. You could have the cover art for Sonic in Your Face, the Archie comic, where like a ramp goes through Sonic's mouth. I think that would be pretty good. Having a prison capsule of some sort that you can strike with the ball for points, and like maybe it opens, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. I believe the real life pinball one that someone was working on had a repurposed Death Star into a Death Egg. I think having a Death Egg in some sort would be really cool, that you would be able to strike with the ball and try to defeat or destroy in some way. Ramps, gotta have ramps. You definitely have to have ramps. Ramps are, especially like you want the metal ramps, like the kind that are a series of bars that carry the ball into different places. I think that's important. Like, the stuff I'm describing feels much more akin to classic Sonic, much more than modern Sonic, which, you know, like, hey, I'm a classic Sonic fan more so than a modern Sonic fan, so what do you want from me? But yeah, like I said, I think the most important thing is the sound design for it. You want something that's gonna have those great 16-bit sound effects, because of how iconic they are and how much of a pinball influence that those early games had. However, we're going to be influenced by some requests, including Karma Collector's request, as well as one from Mr. Cypher over on Twitter. Let's take a listen. We're heading over to some more Sonic. I was going to say Sonic Spinball. It is a Sonic Spinball track, but it's from the Sonic the Hedgehog Boom album. So kind of a cover. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side.
drop another block, slip it fast, time is short. Gotta drop another block, to the left, to the right. Gotta drop another block, stack 'em up, squeeze 'em tight. Gotta drop another block. Sets of 9 at a time. Your sense of order better be at a prime. 'Cause whoa, to get it right is 1 in 9 factorial. Bubble sorting leads to trouble galore. BOGO sorting is for bozos for sure. Quick sort, let's keep it tight. Yes, that's a sort tutorial. Algorithmically, your temper's rising quite illogically. Oh no, don't start a fight, no need to get gladiatorial. Conversation helps you lock in that streak, but do it quick 'cause there's no time for critique. Let's go to win the night and get the prize in memorial. To the right, gotta drop another block, stack 'em up, squeeze 'em tight. Gotta drop another block, quick sort, gotta drop another block, so fast, time is short. Gotta drop another block, to the left, to the right. Gotta drop another block, stack 'em up, squeeze 'em tight. Gotta drop another block.
everybody. That was Lava Powerhouse, the version from Sonic the Hedgehog Boom album, as requested by Karma Collector. Followed up by Quicksort, credits theme, from Jackbox Party Pack 9. Wrapping it up with Aquarium Park Act 1 from Sonic Colors Ultimate, as requested by Mr. Cypher. Hitting our final quiz for the evening, and it is, as always, a triple trouble. And again, as always with that triple trouble, I give you 3 things. I give you 4 things. 3 of them have something in common. 1 of them does not belong. You have to identify which one does not belong. I'll give you a hint as to what it is, and you are always welcome to guess in chat. If you don't want to guess in chat, just hide chat, and we'll tell you the answer when it's done. Your triple trouble topic is Sonic Generation skills, and your 4 items are Endless Boost, Boardmaster, Hercules Muscles, and Treasure Scanner. Which of these 4 does not belong with the others? Get your guess in, and we'll let you know after this Sonic Generations track. Hey, that was Casino Night Act 2 from Sonic Generations 3DS. It's also the Casino Night Pinball stage from the console version of Sonic Generations. And once again, that triple trouble, identifying the one that does not belong with the others among Sonic Generations skills: Endless Boost, Boardmaster, Hercules Muscle, and Treasure Scanner. And Sonic Trainer in chat locked in almost immediately. It is, in fact, Endless Boost, for the reason that they mentioned. Endless Boost is not a classic Sonic skill. However, Boardmaster, Hercules Muscles, and Treasure Scanner are classic Sonic skills. Endless Boost is a modern Sonic skill, for the obvious reasons. Classic Sonic, not exactly a booster. But yeah, it is, in fact, they are all skills in it. However, some of them are classic Sonic exclusive, some of them are modern Sonic exclusive, some of them are both. A handful are both. But classic Sonic has the best ones, to be honest. Because classic Sonics are like, oh, cool, you get a shield ability that you can just pop off at any time, or hey, you get the skateboard that you can just use as often, that you can just use whenever you want. Like, I think his are much more interesting than the modern Sonic options there. So, hope you enjoyed. That's our last quiz for the evening. We've got a couple more requests, and depending on how long those take us, might take us into the end of the show here. I'm playing it by ear whether or not I play 3 of the songs that I have in the docket that aren't requests. But we at least have another Spinbox, the final Spinbox for the evening, coming in from Clara the Cat. If Roulette Road wasn't in Sonic Racing Crossroads, what other pinball casino level would you have chosen to take its place? I'll say this immediately. I really like Roulette Road. Like, if there's a stage that should be appearing in all of the games, Roulette Road has certainly earned that spot appropriately. Roulette Road is a fantastic track with just these big, long expanses of drift around the roulette tables that is so satisfying to just hit that perfect drift curve and maintain and earn that boost. So satisfying. Oh boy. I think Studiopolis would be a really fun one. It's not a casino, obviously. It kind of would be not that far removed from what you'd be doing with it. I would say Pinball Carnival could be interesting. I'm trying to think what else would really match with it. Sonic 3D Blast does not get a lot of love, so maybe the Carnival stage from that. Maybe an adaptation of the Casinopolis from Sonic Adventure. Honestly, like, that would be a really cool stage. It's not... That got ahead of us right there. I almost kind of want, like... I want a Station Square racetrack in the game that just takes you through a bunch of different locations within Station Square. Like, in through the hotel, through the Chow Garden, through the casino, through the amusement park just for a bit, and just have it go around the city, and then eventually maybe parts of it get flooded in, like, the final lap or something. That sounds like that would be a fascinating stage, in the same way that some of the All-Stars Racing Transformed stages evolved over time, like how in the stage from Skies of Arcadia, things just slowly get destroyed over the course of it. I think doing that with Station Square would be fascinating. However, what else would be fascinating is Clara's request, which you probably heard and is appearing on screen right now. It's Pinball Carnival from Sonic Rumble. We also got another request, our final request from MFA. So take a listen, enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in a bit. Hey all, welcome back. Looking at the time, I think we got time for some quick songs. So I picked out something to end on. Just a last trio, not very long. All chiptune ones, so that should be entertaining. So let's go ahead and take a listen to our final set of 3 tonight. Kicking it off with some Master System tunes. Enjoy. Catch you guys in a bit. There we go. Wrapping it up with some chiptune songs. That was Jungle Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog Master System version, followed up by Level 0 through 9 from the limited release arcade game Sega Sonic Bros. Wrapping it up with Meta Junglera Zone Act 2 from Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, the fan game. Hey, as always, my opinions are on my own, but the show broadly is under the banner of Sonic Stadium over at sonicstadium.org. Go check it out. It's one of the internet's longest-running Sonic fan communities, currently going through a big structural shakeup, updating some things, revising some things, adjusting some layouts and features and all that nonsense. But our news coverage is as good as ever, and we got a lot of stuff going on over there, including, of course, Sega Sonic Radio. We got forums, we've got news coverage, we've got clubs and discussions and all sorts of fun stuff. We've got a Discord. If you ever wanted to bug me, I'm over on the Discord most of the time. You can go check it out. And otherwise, hey, we're wrapping it up for the week. It's time to properly welcome the weekend. Closing things out with an unreleased, a OC remix from an unreleased game. Should be pretty good. You can find it and so much more over at ocremix.org. This is a remix by Malkos. The track is Dirty Beta, and it's from Sonic Crackers. Enjoy! I will see you guys next week. Peace all. thinking we might have time for one more short song. I'm thinking, what if one more song? Just a extra song. Just a one more extra. Just a bonus. Just a bonus. It's time for a music jackpot.